Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tinnitist TV. Today's interviews are kind of special for me because I'm talking to two members of one of my favorite bands, Marah. I can still remember the first time I heard Marah. It was the year 2000, and I was sitting on my couch listening to CDs and writing reviews. I put their second album, Kids in Philly, into my Discman. I pushed play, and within minutes I was completely and totally hooked. Their sound was big and boisterous and beautiful and joyful and jubilant. It combined some of the finest qualities of early Bruce Springsteen, the Faces, Van Morrison, Bob Dylan. But ultimately, their songs didn't really sound like anybody else. The lyrics are richly detailed street poetry. The songwriting itself and the arrangements broke all the rules. The production was just full of life and energy and vitality and momentum. More than 20 years later, Kids in Philly is still one of my favorite albums, and Marah are still one of my favorite bands. In the years since, I've reviewed all their releases. I've seen them play as many times as I could. I've even collected and traded bootleg recordings of their shows with other fans. The one thing that I never got to do, though, was interview the Pennsylvania group's founders, chief architects, and sole permanent members. That would be the singer-guitarist brothers Dave and Serge Bielanko. And since Marah basically stopped being a full-time working band shortly after Serge backed away from music in 2008 to raise a family and focus on writing, I never really expected to talk to them. But recently the stars aligned. Marah announced their first show in 2 years, a Christmas gig in their former hometown of Philadelphia. And thanks to the internet, I was able to track down both Serge and Dave via Zoom to talk about the upcoming show, the band's legacy, and even a possible future for Marah. Fittingly, Dave called from the darkness of the recording studio. Serge was hanging out at home recovering from a root canal, but both of them were nice enough to put up with all my fanboy questions. Rather than edit the interviews together or run them back to back, I decided just to post them separately. So here's one of them. Enjoy. First of all, I should say thanks for doing this. It's great to talk to you. I've honestly wanted to interview you for about, 20 years now.
Oh, cool.
But let's start with what's going on now. You've got this Christmas show coming up. That's your first gig in how long?
2 years. So literally, a week ago, we played the first song, sang an entire song, for the first time in 2 years, which is bonkers, but life's been pretty bonkers, and it was certainly fully derailed for me and for, God knows how many people, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't really even know how to explain it. I was very surprised that everyone wanted to play, but really pleasantly surprised, kind of. And then I was trepidatious. Could we even pull it together? And then suddenly you start to play together and you relax back into it. And music can heal a lot of things. Sounds like a cliche, but it's honestly not where I thought we were going. Like, I didn't think life was pointing back towards play Marah shows, but it kind of it had been booked like real early when things seemed very positive, back in May maybe. Oh. And then it sort of just fell off the radar, the fact that we had booked a Christmas thing. When COVID hit, I think we had 7 or 8 shows, like really kind of ambitious shows planned. And I never even got to clear them with the band. It just, everything was wiped, and it was, that occupation was gone or whatever. So the depression and the things that I think I dealt with and stuff, I didn't realize it was happening. You know what I mean? It was like a compounded situation, and the art part just got so far away from the screen that it seemed like it just wasn't going to happen again. So we kind of rallied in the last month or so and said, hey, we could do this. We have this date and we could do it. And I think it got to the point where I told my brother, like, look, I need to do this. I need to do something artistic. When we got too heavy, but like depression and confusion and stuff is very real, and when there's no road ahead of you at all, sometimes art or whatever like really can connect, person like me to fucking sanity, or whatever. So yeah, so it's cool. It's fortunate, and we will clobber the show. Yeah, it'll be awesome. It'll be amazing.
Is it tough to put together a set list for this one? Given all the time away, I would think you're kind of wanting to play everything you've ever
It's
written.
just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it just gets really long, and like from day one, I was trying to tell everyone, like, let's keep it realistic. Keep it like let's try to play an hour and a half as opposed to like it's yeah, it's really difficult to do that, but that's a really cool problem. But it kind of makes you want to play again, because you won't be able to play everything that you want to play or that you should or somebody wants to hear. But it's been cool. Boom, boom, boom. The songs, they come back. They live inside you in all sorts of ways, so you don't actually know the words of them until you start singing them, and they're in there somewhere. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's just been me and Serge up to now, just kind of scratching around on out of tune electric guitars, but the magic thing starts to come back. The power starts to shift back into that familiar place. It's crazy. I mean, when we played rock and roll show or whatever, it's loud like an airplane taking off, yet it's entirely relaxing for me. I feel like this is the place that I know how to, navigate better than almost any other one in my life, and there's a lot of people that would be able to say that are performing artists or whatever. But that's a cool thing to have in your back pocket, should you need it. But yeah, it feels really great to play with those people. Certainly Christmas is such an amazingly forgiving and celebratory time that honestly we could get away with not being very good and people would still have a really great time. But it's hard for us to not be very good right now, I think, because there's so much back there. So when we get together, it's a really great band and it's just a really fun time, and there's a lot of really great songs to choose from, and yeah, it's exciting.
I mean, it must have been a surprise, or was it a surprise at how easily it came together? Two years away, you might think there's a lot of rust to scrape off.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it any better. I honestly thought I couldn't sing a song 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I had gotten very derailed by life throughout the course of that, and very isolated, and super depressed, and I wasn't even realizing that was happening, and lost a lot of things. Relationships fell apart. Your occupation was gone, not to mention like our particular band broke up during it. So everyone was very stressed and reacting to one another, and things happened as they did, but to like even make a minor resurrection of that stuff can I pick this up? It's my mom.
Yeah, go ahead.
She might be outside. Hang on. This will be fun anyway. Hello, Mom. What's up? Uh-huh. I'm on a Zoom call with somebody. Are you gonna? Absolutely. Yeah, come by, okay? All right, love you. Mom's.
Very sweet. Is your mom going to come to the show?
She's going to come to the studio here. I haven't seen her in a while, so yeah.
No, but is she going to come to the Christmas show?
She loves the show, so I have a feeling she's saying I'm not going, but I have a feeling at the last minute she'll be there again. I got her a hotel room.
Oh, perfect. And what does it mean to have Serge take part in this show? I mean, you've done some stuff without him, you've done some stuff with him. Yeah. How is that a different dynamic,
I was prepared to do this without him, just because I thought I really needed to do something, to have something to aspire to or whatever, like just like an event with human beings in it. Like, so I went to Serge and I said, I'm going to do it. I would love you to be part of it. But he's been really weirdly musical, the last couple of weeks or months or whatever, which was surprising to me. But like I said, I think those hooks that are inside of you are really, really deep, and they kind of define who you are. So you can get really, really far away from it, but those records, the lifetime of playing shows night after night and stuff, those are the chapters of your book, so you could turn away from them as much as you can, but they'll come back and get you. So I was pretty surprised in a cool way, but it makes a lot of sense. You can only get so far from home, and again, it's Christmas. My brother really loves that. You know, it's fun. It's like our one chance to literally like see a whole bunch of people that we really care about that we don't get to see ever, and things like that. So yeah, it makes sense.
How is the dynamic different though on stage with him as opposed to without him? What is a show like for you if
No,
he's
night
playing
and I guess
versus?
it's night and day. It's it when I perform, it can very much sound like Marah, you know what I mean? But it's yeah, it's sort of a night and day thing. It's like when he's there, it's a different dynamic. It's a different dynamic for me backstage. It's a different rehearsal. It's a different thing, and it also, you know, we're brothers, so it sounds like something. It, we
Do
could
you
play
think you're
tennis
closer?
rackets.
Do you think you're
Yeah,
closer
yeah.
than other? Do you think you're closer than other brothers might be because of, everything you've gone through together and having, been years on the road and in the band and in each other's pockets the whole way?
Yeah, and I mean, undescribably so. You know, we've been stuck in so many airports in other countries with €5. You know, we've been like the stresses that are on you and stuff. It's probably a lot more like people that have been in a war together or something like that. So yeah, our bond and stuff, we don't really have to say much anymore. Again, there's so much back there, and it was such a fringy outsider alternative life for so long that yeah, I mean, you're connected well beyond words on most levels. And then honestly, a lot of times we don't even really get along that good.
Brothers.
Yeah, in life or whatever, we just kind of avoid each other a lot of the time. But yeah, seriously, when you're backstage and you're about to walk on stage and the intro music, it's really comforting to know that I got him there, and I'm sure it feels the same for him. Um, I'm able to swing pretty low and make it happen, you know, and there's a naturalness to performing with blood, you know, that's like we could pretty much pick two very terribly disorienting notes and make them work together. You know what I mean? It becomes musical. So it's fun.
So talking about, the time off and now you're coming back to it, it's almost like, you've had a break from the whole thing and you're almost coming at your own music again from a fresh perspective to some degree. Thinking back on all the old albums, I know you're not the kind of guy who sits alone in the dark and listens to Kids in Philly on repeat or whatever,
Right.
but thinking about all those old albums, how do they hold up, for you with 20 years or 10 years of perspective? Are they as good as they were to you when you heard them and made them? Are they better? Are they slightly disappointing? How do you feel
Yeah,
about them now?
a lot of it's well, first of all, it's two different things to me. It's like these albums, these recordings, and then the songs, you know. And I think we've luckily been song-oriented people our whole or since day one. And song for song, it's an amazing body of work. Recording for recording, yeah, I have tons of regrets, and I totally see where things could have been. Would you buy coffee for you?
Yes, sir.
Cool. I totally see any shortcomings or whatever, you know, but life was happening really fast. I'm super proud of all of that art. If it didn't exist, the world would be a slightly suckier place, you know. So it's just a gift. But it was a lifestyle. So you're working so hard on those songs those years, you know, and so they really become chapters in a book or whatever. And so many songs that got left behind, so many that hang on the fringes and stuff. So the albums to me, or to maybe someone else, or these 11 songs to me, they're like this season of, 50 songs, that had floated around, and this song kind of got forced into becoming another one and stuff like that. The body of work I think is really cool, and I would love to build upon it, honestly. And I spent a lot of the last few years, trying to mastermind a way to, plug back into that thread of stuff. So yeah, it'd be really amazing to imagine another, possibly more fully realized Marah record. I'd love to do that.
I think we would all love to see that. And there's also so much live stuff out there. You guys were great about letting people trade back and forth on that bulletin board. I mean, I've even got a prop. This is my stack of Marah live shows.
If someone did the work and went through and found very special versions of very special songs, you know what I mean, and compiled it down to a 15-song like live funny bootleg or something, it would be really compelling record, I would think. But I don't know. I've not gotten to relax like that. I look at Jimmy Page or whatever, and he's able to sit and go over his life's work, year after year, and remaster it or whatever. Our lives has been a little bit more chaotic or whatever. So I like to dream about what we're talking about, and doing it one day. That would be very worthwhile thing to do, I would think.
Well, I think there's a few fans out there who would probably be willing to help you out with suggestions. Cool. This one, that one. Do you have a particular album that you might be proudest of in the catalog?
We've been reissuing them as vinyl records, which is a really cool moment where you have to go back and really understand the record again or whatever. You're kind of forced back into its orbit. I had an amazing time with If You Didn't Laugh, and I had an amazing time with Angels of Destruction, both of which kind of got by me at the time as to what we were really doing, because you're grinding, and you're touring and you're cutting, we have 3 days in the studio. So there's not a lot of like perspective on that music when you're making it. And then the album covers, and then there's a mastering, and then you're back on the road or whatever, and you start to feel people are digging this and digging, certain parts about it. But then it takes your own, like you're saying, you're at that distance or whatever, and then you re-inspect it yourself. And I was really pleased to find those 2 records, If You Didn't Laugh and Angels of Destruction, to be comprehensive and very unique to themselves. Felt like both of those moments of the band, we should have really springboarded and used that momentum or whatever. But that's not always how life works. They're still there. They really exist, and again, like to plug into the thread again would be really cool. We could have used those moments to propel into another, probably even more fully realized LP, on the tail of it. When we made If You Didn't Laugh, we made a Christmas record too, which was caught up in its enthusiasm. So that was a cool moment. I like them all. God, I mean, we reissued Let's Cut the Crap, and I don't even feel like I'm part of that. Like, I feel like it was such a wild and young and experimental moment in our life that when I listen to that record, I can honestly listen to it probably like you can. Like, I don't feel like critical of it in any way. I feel in all of it, like, wow, what a cool and organic, amazing underground piece of art.
I mean, talking about being awed by it, I was awed by that one, and Kids in Philly. The first time I heard them, part of it was even more outstanding once I realized and learned how you had made it. I mean, I find it astounding that you guys were able to make those albums on, what was it, like an 8-track cassette recorder with one.
It was like a Tascam. It would sit on a counter, it's like it's like this big. It's like a prosumer is what they would call it. Like, so, yeah, you could afford to have this in whatever 1981. So the technology was probably on par with a lot of like great Jamaican records being made, in the 70s, where the gear is not all that, but you're pouring yourself into it, which makes things more fascinating for sure. We had an 8-track, it had a broken track the whole time, so we had 7 tracks. We had a very gifted young engineer called Paul Smith, and He had come out of Sigma Sound in Philadelphia, which is one of the old school amazing recording rooms. So they learned to do things there a certain way. So he had a lot of learnings that we definitely needed. And then we were just exuberant and just a ball of art, you know, a ball of song lyrics and broken guitars, and yeah, it was just a perfect combination of, and we had the time, you know, or we made the time. Like we worked really hard, and
Well,
we
you can hear
were,
the joy and the celebration and
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
exuberance
Uh-huh.
in the music, and it just feels like you're throwing everything at the wall in terms of,
Yeah,
you know, let's put horns on there, let's get a bagpipe
yeah.
in, let's put, you know, this percussion.
I literally would have banged on a bathtub, you know. Yeah, I mean, it was that moment in your life where, you know, I've heard my brother say it before, that in the very beginning of the making of Let's Cut the Crap, we were kind of laughing at our own voices coming out of the speakers. That's how, like, not into it yet we were, like kids. We were kids, but we also like knew songs, and we had spent our entire high school tenure or whatever, like really buried in our headphones and very much turning off the world and trying to understand why Chuck Berry songs are badass, and how is he doing that with the lyrics, and that goes right across the board, and you know, into punk rock and into country music. And so we were really good students probably, and we were also like in an advantageous place where we could rent a really cheap garage in an awesome city and have access to a really cool engineer and whatever junky gear we could get. And yeah, then it was just, you know, toil away. So that's
Yeah.
what that sounds like, you know, and it's what it sounds like today.
And I mean, going back to Angels for a second, I mean, to me, I can see why that would be a special album for you. It seems like it's a very personal record for you. Not that your other ones aren't, but that one seems to be more personal to you.
In just me saying so.
Well, no, just in terms of the songs on it. It's. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was sort of around the time that you were cleaning up and all that, and the album
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
seems to reflect that.
yeah. It was weird. I mean, that's maybe why it's fascinating to me. I think that Angels of Destruction record has, like we all felt that we had a mad potential, like we were really rocking the clubs at that point, and like felt like we could go up a big level. But I also think that we all felt like this was the end in a weird way, and I think that that's what that record kind of reflects to me. I feel like there was a thing in the room where we all kind of knew like this could be the end of that part, you know, of or that musical journey or whatever. And I think that that's what the title, and that's what a lot of the songs are actually dealing with, is, you know, how long could you keep something like that going, you know, because again, it's a very precarious group of people, you know, with really fringy problems, and you know, put under a lot of stress and traveling, and you know, let's be honest, that band wasn't making enough money to make everything relax a little bit. It was like it was always pushing, always just pursuing art and leaving it on the stage, you know, blowing yourself to bits. So we were a very generous band, I think, you know, like we definitely couldn't give half, you know, like that wasn't a possibility. It seemed like we could talk about it, like, let's not do too great tonight, you know what I mean? But once you're on stage, there's a reality to it, and you're not in control of that. Like you're going to push to try to deliver, you know, whatever it is you're delivering, somebody to the end of their week, you know, like you're becoming an entertainer, you know. And I've seen that happen in all facets of my life. Like right now, like, you know, I cook for all the people at the studio, you know, I'm constantly entertaining on some level. And then you start to do that much to your own, like it can hurt you in life. You're just giving it everything away. but it's cool. I mean, everyone has their thing that they go through, but I think that delivering music, live music, with some pretty high standards changes your DNA a little bit, over the years, and that's definitely happened to me. So,
Well, it
what
sounds
else?
like
Uh-huh.
your Christmas gig is going to end up turning into one long blowout, right? You
Yeah,
know what's
I
going
would,
to
I would
happen.
think so. Right. I would think so. Yeah, it feels really cool to play right now. So I have a feeling that momentum will just, next the band will come in and we'll play together, which is, again, it's very much like me and Serge could be that. It's just the next really natural thing that plugs in. So there's not going to be any jam up there. The problem is, like you were saying, is making it a focus set list or whatever, saying, hey, we're going to play these songs. Um, yeah, because that really is a gift to the audience in a lot of ways, where you put some thought into what you will deliver, and it's pretty clear, like, I don't know. We'll do our best. It'll be a wallop of a rock and roll show, that's for sure.
Right. Have you been inspired to write anything new lately?
Yeah, it's been inspiring. I've been part of like the building of this recording room,
Right.
which has eclipsed like my own ambitions maybe a little bit. The whole of the COVID experience. I mean, I hear certain people like that went into a writing mode or whatever. That didn't happen for me. It was very much the opposite. I remained plugged into music, and I listened to music, and I used music to get me down the road, but I did drift very far from my own ambitions or whatever. But there was always music being recorded, and I work with these incredibly gifted teenagers, and we recorded music every day, and they would dabble in my songs, and things that I was writing, and so there's a lot of it there. Who knows? Who knows? But I feel like I could refocus on that now, and certainly playing a show, and all of the momentum and enthusiasm that generates, kind of puts you down in a different spot, and one that's a little bit more creative, so
I just
hope
think
so.
it's great that you're coming up on, well, it's almost been 30 years since you formed the band, and you're still
Yeah.
here, still making music and looking to the future.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for saying so, but yeah, you're right. It's baffling. I mean, it's baffling to know that Bob Dylan is rocking it tonight somewhere, and I don't know what to think about any of it, but when we simply get together and play a song, it's cool, So anything that's cool or has love and soul and stuff in it in this world is worthwhile, So if it isn't art, I don't know what it is.